An infant initially faces the world armed with only a few and simple reflexes at hand. Clueless of everything going on, he disregards the objects and the people around him. But after 2 months of being surrounded by different sights and sounds that stimulate his brain, he gains little control of his eye muscles, an ability he gets to improve at 3 months of age. Together with his improved eye control, he also performs activities more consciously now, unlike reflexes which were more automatic in nature. He would try to do things over and over again, not as a reaction to anything, but simply because he wants to. An example of a repetitive activity that babies, especially those 1 to 4 months of age, never get tired of doing is thumb sucking. To get more technical about it, this stage of infant cognitive development is called primary circular reactions. Near the end of this stage, the baby has achieved considerable eye-hand coordination and selective attention. Using this ability, the baby continues to repeat his actions, though now, at 4 to 10 months, he's decided to channel his energy into making interesting sights last. This stage is called the secondary circular reactions. This suggests that babies know that there is a connection between a consequence and an action he caused. Early geniuses, aren't they? Sometime near the end of this stage, the baby also gains the ability to form conceptual categories. He groups things into animals, toys, etc. After some time, the next stage, called the coordination of secondary schemes, comes in. Coordination of secondary schemes means that the baby is learning how to coordinate 2 actions to achieve a goal, like opening a container to get his toy, for example.
What's in there, Connor? Are you gonna get it? What's in there? What's in there? You almost got it. Come on. Maybe if you use both hands, it'll work a little better. Huh. Oh, just one hand? Oh, there we go. Did you get it?
An even more amazing stage is the tertiary circular reactions, wherein an infant experiments on actions to lead to different outcomes, showing his increasing curiosity about the world. This curiosity brings him to the next and final stage of the sensory motor period, at 18 to 24 months, the beginnings of thought. He now thinks before he acts. Plus, he now has a primitive capacity for mental representation or symbolic thought. Closely linked to this capacity is something called object permanence. Object permanence means that at 18 months, though some researchers argue that it happens earlier, the baby now understands that things continue to exist even when he can't see them.
Alright.
Emma, see this? Where is it? Where is it? There it is, you found it.
A related ability is called deferred imitation, wherein babies imitate an action they have seen in the past. See this techie baby here? He's using a cell phone, and there's no one around who he could have imitated right then and there. So, we can assume that he saw someone doing it before and imitated it now. This suggests that he has significant memory to remember how such an activity had been performed before. At 2 years old, the baby, now more appropriately called a toddler, moves from the sensory motor stage to the pre-operational stage, more specifically, just the symbolic function substage at 2 to 4 years old. At this substage, his primitive symbolic thought from the end of the sensory motor stage has moved to greater heights. He begins to use language and to engage in pretend play, though of course his cognitive abilities are still bound by certain limitations, such as egocentrism and animism. Isn't the cognitive development of infants and toddlers just amazing? It's just too bad that they themselves won't remember these achievements in the future, because during our early years, the prefrontal lobe of the brain, which is very important in storing memory, is still immature. That is why everyone has the so-called infantile or childhood amnesia. Sad, I know.